Okay, thank you very much. So I think first of all, on behalf of my colleagues, we want to thank the leadership of the department for, giving us the opportunity to come and share some of the knowledge we've picked up since we left school. Personally, I left KNUST almost, well, I left there 2008, right? So I've forgotten my math, but at least it's more than 10 years now, right? And I think the same holds for many of the panelists here. So the first thing, the first one we're going to do is just to introduce ourselves, and then after this, and now we'll take over and moderate the rest of the, more or less moderate the session in terms of the experiences that we have. So I think I'm going to start. After that, I'll hand over to Chris Darkon, Chris Jane, and then Nana will wrap up, and then we transition to the next session. So as you know, I'm Justice. I was in tech between 2004 and 2008. I did a bachelor in econ, like many of you do, although I had a minor in geography. After I finished, I did 1 year as a TA, and I served under the late Prof. like Ohine Menu. But also interested to know that I was among the founding members of the Economic Students Association, and I'm glad that the association is still standing. And I was the first, or the inaugural vice president in charge of administration. I'm currently in the US now as an economist at the World Bank, and great to have the opportunity to speak with you all. So let me pass on the baton to Chris Darko.
Yeah, thank you, Justice, and thanks again for organizing this program. Prince and Otinyabeye, thanks so much for having all of us here. As Justice has mentioned, most of us here, we are alumni. I finished back in 2009, and same as Justice, I did economics with geography as my minor. And yeah, during my time, unlike Justice, who formed the Economic Students Association, I was cheerleading the social. So, all these trips that we were having, I was, number one there. I was always around, the always around boys in Conti and and then also, during these social events. But yeah, it was a lovely time. At the moment, I'm in the UK. I'm an associate professor in labor and development economics at the University of Birmingham. And yeah, so I just pass on to the next person, and then you hear a bit more about what I do and some of my experiences in terms of career.
Thank you, Chris. So my name is Chris Jin, and let me know if anybody can hear me. I unmuted myself. Okay. So my name is Chris Jin, and I was in the same class with Justice. So I graduated 2008. I was a TA for the late Buabin, and I was in the university hall. One thing that I remember doing at KNUST is I was the bus driver for AGCM for almost 4 years. So just to put it in context there. I'm currently in the US, and I am a cloud security engineer for Amazon Web Services. And hopefully we can use this opportunity to share experiences among us. And we hope that at the end of this program, whatever questions you have, we can help address it during this program or after the program. We also like to connect with you after the program. So thank you. I'll hand it over to Wachi.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, my name is Nana Boachwa Ade, and I was in KNUST from 2012 to 2016. So the most recent alumni among the panelists. And while in KNUST, my minor was in geography, like everybody else, I think. And while in KNUST, I was the social treasurer. So yes, I had a fair share of student politics. And currently I'm in the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I'm a PhD candidate. I'm about to defend, so hopefully by next year I'll be done. And the next program we have, maybe I'll have some nice job experience to share. But since I'm the youngest alumni and I'm still in grad school, I'm going to go ahead and start the next session, which is graduate school in the US. So I'm going to talk about my experience. So after graduation in 2016, I started my national service. And then after national service, I did a national service extension. So during my national service, I wrote my GRE exam, or the GRE, which I don't know if most of you have heard about it, but it's one of the requirements for most economics graduate programs in the US, and I think in Canada. So I wrote the GRE in 2016, but unfortunately I didn't go to school till I came to school in 2019. So the GRE is valid for 5 years. So I'm just going to talk about my experience and then what I think. I'm going straight ahead to start the program. So what I think you need to have to start grad school, especially in the US, since I am here. And then after that, I'll hand over to Chris to talk about his experience in the UK. So first of all, before you even talk about going to grad school, you need to graduate with good grades. That's important because to make it in grad school, you need to show that you can handle the pressure in grad school, the academic pressure. So you'd want to make somewhere at least an upper if you want to be admitted into a good graduate program. And secondly, you don't have to do economics like Dr. Altingabiye said. You can do whatever program you want to do, but I am doing my graduate program in economics. So whatever I'll say will be based mostly on, like, if you were to do your graduate studies in economics. So I'm going to talk about the requirements here in the US. So first of all, they'll ask for your certificates and transcripts, which I spoke about making good grades. And also some schools ask for, I'm trying to be as general as possible. So I'm not going to base it on just what I know. I'm talking about like what I know most US schools require. So some schools ask for transcript evaluation and English proficiency exams, so like the TOEFL and the IELTS. And of course, you need recommendation letters. So for recommendation letters, you need it from your professors, from your lecturers. So I think, can you hear me? Can you see me? I think you can. Okay, because I got, well, I'm going to, they say my video is frozen. So I'm just going to keep talking and hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit. Yeah, I was talking about the recommendation letters. So for recommendation, you'll need recommendation from your professors. Most of the time, they ask for 3 recommendation letters. So what I would say is that as you're students now, please let your professors know you so that when it's time to ask them for recommendation letters, they won't drag their feet because they are very busy. So if they don't know you, it's hard for them to write about what you can or can't do, or whether you are fit to start a graduate program. Also, I'm going to talk a bit more about the GRE exam. What I'm going to stress on is the timing. If you plan to apply to a graduate program in fall, let's say you want to start in September, in August or September, usually the application starts in September or October the year before. So if you want to start applying, you should have your GRE score ready by then so that you won't be delayed, because I think it takes 15 days after you write it for the results to be out, and then it takes time for you to get the date. So I'm not going to talk I'm not going to stress on that. You can read about the GRE from their website. Also, when applying, you need to have good, proper written communication skills. Like you're going to have to write emails and all that. So I think that's also important to know how to write formal emails to ask questions about the application process, the admission process and all that. Also, you need to find out if the school has funding, because it's quite expensive to go to school in the US or outside Ghana. Even in Ghana, it's quite expensive to go to graduate school. So you need to find out funding options to see if you can afford the program. Yeah, I'm going to say graduate school is stressful, but it's worth it because, I mean, without graduate school, you can't go as far as the other panelists have gone. I just started. I'm yet to start my professional career, but I think graduate school is like, as an economist, if you don't go to grad school, I don't see how far you can go. So I encourage people to go to grad school so that you get like the platform to go from there. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Dapo to talk about how his experience in his grad school experience was in the UK. And after that, Justice will tell us about pursuing grad school in both Ghana and in Sweden. So yeah.
I think we will need someone to unmute Christian Dago.
He's not muted. Hello, Chris.
He's muted.
No, Chris is not muted.
All right, there you go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Thanks, Nana, for sharing your experiences of grad school application in the US. I mean, unlike, well, similar to Nana and okay, but I would like to stress that what I say here is my opinion, and if you need detailed information, you would have to, do your fair bit by doing a bit of research, because what I encountered was years ago, and I think things may have changed or moved on from there, but it's not strictly different from what it was back then. I mean, you both know that US and UK tend to be one of the most preferred destinations for grad school. I mean, place about Brexit and whatever is going on, but I mean, taking that out in terms of higher education, the cultural influence and everything, the UK seems to be playing a lot in the global economy. All right. Now, if you want to, during my time, of course, this was back in 2008 to 2009, I think, it was pretty straightforward, but like I said, I'm not quite sure what it is now. But if you want to pursue postgraduate studies in the UK, there are two routes here. So we are dealing with the master's option first. There are two routes that you can take. You can either do the taught or you can do the research. So you have the taught degree, which is basically you attending lectures, seminars, doing dissertations, assignments, whatnot, or you can go the research route. It's what most likely leads you on to do PhD or integrate PhD easily. So sometimes you can do the 1+3, which is 1 year of master's research, and then the 3 years of PhD. So these are the two main pathways that you want. I don't want to keep saying what Nana has already said. In order to, qualify for a postgrad, you need to make the grades, well, particularly in a top university. Sometimes it's based on your willingness to pay, but if you want to be, in the top school, then you need to make the grades, and you need to also justify why you want to be on that type of program. Now, in terms of application, it's pretty straightforward as far as I remember. It may have changed now, but what you really need is identify the university that you want to apply to and make a direct application to them. Sometimes you can go through the universities and colleges admission services and then apply for some postgraduate programs, but otherwise going straight to the university is what you need. And this can be a bit daunting because there's so many universities out there, and most cases to identify which university suits what you want to do, because different universities have different specialty. And that is where sometimes students lack the knowledge, or, because sometimes I just want to go and do masters. I've got this university, or I found this university. What you want is you want to look at where the university is placed, either within the UK or globally. Most likely you want to look at it globally, right? Because what you want is you want a high quality university, or, highly ranked university. You don't want to just go and do a degree from anywhere because you've got the admission. So you want to do your research properly. And, thankfully, you've got the internet, you've got the Times Higher Education ranking, the FT ranking that you can easily refer to. So what I would say is you want to do your homework. Don't just think, oh, I've just got any university, because you don't know how they where they stand here in the UK. So do your research properly. And if you can't apply directly to the university, there are a lot of middlemen out there. It depends. If you want to go and do postgraduate study, then really you want to be good at doing research. You don't want to be relying so much on hearsay, right? So do your own research properly and identify the school or the university which you think will offer what you actually want, all right? Now, Nana has already said about proof of English and, GRE and other stuff. I'm not so sure about it for the UK, but I know that recently, or a few years ago, they've introduced you having to, demonstrate, I think English proficiency and stuff. I don't think it's as rigorous or is as tight as it is for the US, but it's likely that you may have to. During my time, that was not there because Ghana is an English-speaking country, so that requirement wasn't there. But if I'm not mistaken, it is probably the case now where you need to demonstrate. But that depends also on how far or how long ago you finish your degree program. So I think there is a time dimension there, and it's up to you to do those kind of you find that out for yourself. And then also in terms of how to navigate around it, you also want to look at the tuition fees. All right, is either you fund yourself or you try to get scholarship, and there are so many scholarship opportunities. All right, there's a Chevening scholarship, there's a Commonwealth, there's a whole lot of them, and there are deadlines for each time period, and this is where you want to actually try and do the research yourself. But I think paramount to this is the fact that you need to have excellent grades. So if you're thinking of doing a postgraduate degree at some point, your focus now should be trying to make the grades, all right? Because the grades in themselves, not only will it get you a very good university, but it might enhance your chance of getting a scholarship. And sometimes what the mistake people do is they always rely on the very big funders. It shouldn't always be the case. You don't ask, you don't get. And I remember during my time, I personally emailed some of the universities and asked them, are they going to fund me, or is there a funding opportunity available? So sometimes you just got to ask. As long as your grades are good, your grades will speak for you. They might not offer you, full tuition fees or something, but they might offer you some sort of bursary, or they might waive, some element of your fees off. So the thing is, if you don't ask, you don't get. Even if they knock off 10%, 20%, it's still quite substantial, and it can go a long way. So that's what I can say about graduate studies in the UK. This is not exhaustive, and it's entirely up to you to go and do a bit of research yourself. So I'll pass over to Justice.
All right, thanks, Chris. So first of all, since Chris mentioned that he was in Katanga, let me also mention that I was at the Unity Hall, right? Just to be able to balance the equation. But in spite of that, we were peaceful in class, so please be peaceful on campus. All right, so now back to substantive issue. So again, unlike Nana, Chris, and Chris, who I would say probably were lucky to have gone straight from tech to schools in the US and the UK. There's also the possibility that not everyone will be lucky to go to school directly from tech, right? And I'm a living example. Not that I didn't know, Chris and I were studying GRE together in school. I think I had equally good grades, but sometimes as a time and chance happening to them all. Sometimes you might not necessarily be lucky. So I'm going to speak from the perspective of someone to basically show that it's not always the case that you have to go to grad school immediately after tech. There's also an additional route, which is pursuing a master's degree in Ghana and still having a possibility to continue outside. Right? So from tech, I applied to the school, all right, but I didn't get, but I was still determined to go to the school. So what I did was I went to Legon to do my MPhil in economics. So spent 2 years in Legon, worked 1 year as a TA in Legon, and then I had opportunity to go to Sweden to go and do my PhD. But I mean, part of what I'm going to stress on is what does it really take to be able to do your master's in Ghana and then go on to more or less go and do your PhD outside. And I think it's all about the determination, right? And then I also mentioned your grades must be good. So your lecturers are here, not that they have bribed us to tell you that your grades must be good. I mean, I wouldn't say you have to be super excellent. I was reasonably an average student, but I think it's a matter of being good at what you are trying to do and be willing to study and know the most important thing. And I want to stress that if you really want to do a PhD in economics, your mathematics must be good, your micro must be good, your macro must be good, and your econometrics must be good as well. So that is not to say that all the other subjects are not relevant, but I've also sat on admissions like board before when I was in Sweden, and these are the 3 key things that you look out for: your micro, macro, econometrics. I think if you are solid in these, it should be easy for you to go on. To pursue grad school outside, even if you did your master's in Ghana. So that is to say that don't lose hope if you apply to go to, if your desire is to go to school outside and you don't get. Especially I would say if you have the ability to pay, there are thousands of schools outside that you can go, but not all of us are fortunate to come from very wealthy homes that will be able to convert CD into dollars or into pounds, and we all know what is happening to the exchange rate now. So if you are not among those that have the financial, muscles to pay, you must pay with your back, and that means studying hard and being strategic in the schools that you apply as well. So I'm going to stop here since my colleagues have mentioned a lot about grad school, but I'll hand over back to Nana and then we can move on to the next session. I think Nana is still muted.
Yeah, thank you. Justice, I think, well, since you just finished speaking, I'll keep the spotlight on you. And we all know that grad school is important to advance your career, whether in economics or in any other field. So I'm going to ask you, then Christian Dako, then Chris Jin, what your career trajectory has been like after grad school. Where have you gone? Even before grad school, what things did you do to get to where you are today? Like, we want to know. We all want to learn what to do to be able to be like you.
Okay, let me take a step back. So like I mentioned, from tech, I went to Legon, worked 1 year, did count. I think the year that I went to Sweden, I applied to 30 schools, and it was the 30th school that I applied that gave me funding to do the PhD. But I must say, I always recommend grad school in Sweden to everyone. The pay is good, which is quite important. So if you do the exchange, with the current exchange rate, you'll be a rich man in Ghana. spent 4 years in grad school as a PhD. And then once I finished my PhD, I did 2 years of postdoc. But just when I finished, I got, I got recruited by the World Bank as a consultant then, right? So I was a consultant, basically working on projects in Africa on a number of reports that were written in the chief economist office. So I did that for 2 years, and then I was hired as an economist at the private sector arm of the World Bank, which is the International Finance Corporation, where I also spent 3 years and then moved back to the main World Bank, the public sector arm, which is where most people know. So I'm currently an economist in the chief economist office at the World Bank for Africa. So that has been my trajectory so far. And I must say that, if you ask me, did I know that I would be where I am? I think the answer is absolutely no. It was always about pursuing, taking each step at a time, right? And sometimes as you move on, some of the choices we make and some of the associations we make sometimes play a key role in our career trajectory. If you ask me, I think about being diligent and persevering. I'm telling you the sweet spot of my career, but you have to be close to me to know the number of times, the disappointments that I might have gone through, right? And some of the big opportunities that I thought I may have missed. But I think it's all about having a plan. And the plan is not really about, okay, I want to do A, B, C, D, but it's about a plan of you trying to be good at what you are trying to do. And I keep mentioning it's very erroneous for someone to think that this guy is a genius. I am not. I think I am the average student who I am an epitome of the average student in Kenya University, and I believe there are a lot in the room. But it's all about being willing to work hard and also finding the right associations. I remember if there's one person that have made a very huge impact in my life, I think I was associated with the late George Edu, who was a lecturer in the Department of Economics. Sometimes he was my thesis supervisor, but he became more or less like a friend and made a lot of input in my life in terms of advice, in terms of what to look out for and some of the things to actually pursue. So I'll say this has been my trajectory so far, and I'm happy to answer questions afterwards, but basically it's all about being perseverance and not allowing yourself to be discouraged when you get some disappointment along the line. Thanks.
I think someone needs to unmute Christian Darko.
He can unmute himself if you've changed the settings. Yeah. We can't hear him. Justice.
Christian, you might be double muted on your headphone and on your laptop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Justice.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Eric, nada mayo bonibiana. So what do you have to wait sir? All right, Justice, thank you very much. Look, it looks like Justice has said everything. I might as well just, get up and go and do something else. But the truth for me, my principle has always been be determined but open-minded, right? If you know what you want, you just have to work hard at it. That is basically what it is. There's no free lunch. Some people just like shortcuts. Some people just want to have an easy ride. It doesn't work like that. You just have to put in the work. And that is the advice I always give to people. And the other thing is, don't always go with your heart, right? It's good to, sometimes go with your heart and with your guts and stuff, but sometimes you got to use your head as well. All right. We might, from childhood, we might say, okay, this is what I want to do when I grow up, but obviously things come along the way, and you might have to just change focus, which I'm sure that the other Chris will probably tell us about. Doing economics does not necessarily mean that you have to end up being an economist. All right. It might change. For me, mine has been slightly different. Okay. Although there's been a bit of challenge along the way. I started off, doing my master's in economics and then doing my PhD also in labor economics. And what I would say is that it's been an enjoyable process, but at the same time, it's been quite challenging. All right. Unlike Justice, who's more into, corporate or into consultancies and stuff, mine has been, strictly academia, right from scratch, because that's what I wanted to do, and I had to work hard at it. Although I kept an open mind. Back in Ghana, I worked a little bit with Standard Chartered Bank, and back then, if you're thinking with your heart, you think, oh, working in financial institution pays well and blah blah blah, but I didn't enjoy it that much. So, and what I really had passion for was, wanting to do research, so I just had to work hard at it. But at the same time, I kept an open mind because I tried different routes. And of course, I landed on what I thought was going to give me that kind of joy, and what I thought, would take me to where I wanted to be. Justice kept on saying that, he was the average student, but look, I'm telling you, he wasn't the average student. All right. Because I'm not sure the average student, they would let them be, teaching assistant in tech and Legon. So basically you need to put in the grades, you need to put in the work. I remember Justice back in tech, he was working his socks off. All right. So you got to do the same thing, but sometimes you got to work smart as well. So don't just aim at being average, just always aim at being the best, not just among the best as well. And I think everything will fall into play. And I'm enjoying the work I do. I enjoy doing research. And for me, I don't think at this moment I'm going to trade it for anything else. I'm not the most highly paid person, but what is paramount is being happy, because in academia, what I do, I get to do, there's that kind of flexibility for me where I'm able to do consultancy, in addition to my research and my lecturing job. So it's, for me, I think it's been good, but obviously there's been challenges, and what matters most is how you navigate some of these challenges. For instance, if when I finished my master's and wanted to do PhD, of course, for me, I wanted to move on to Canada to do my PhD, but things come along the way, and that is why I say you got to be open-minded, and I wasn't getting scholarship in the UK, not because my grades were not good, it was because my grades were good. It's just that at the time there was not a lot of scholarship going on in the area that I wanted to. And as I mentioned to you guys earlier on, sometimes you just got to ask. And I just sent an email to the person I wanted to be my supervisor to say, look, I want funding before I come. And I didn't know them from Adam, and they just offered me the funding, even though it was not advertised as funding. So sometimes you just got to ask, and you got to make the grades. I don't suppose if I was an average student, they would have given me the scholarship, or it wasn't by magic either. So sometimes you've got to have certain credentials or certain things to show, to let you stand apart. It's okay to make okay grades, but obviously it's also sometimes beneficial to have the top grades to allow you to get to where you are. So for me, that is how it's been. So I just moved on from Ghana. I did my service at GamePa. I moved on to University of Surrey, did my master's, and then straight away I moved on to University of Birmingham to do my PhD. Afterwards, I worked at King's College London. I don't know how many of us know, but it's one of the best universities in the UK. So I worked there, and then I moved back to University of Birmingham to start as lecturer, and then most recently as associate professor in labor and development economics. So that has been my trajectory, and so far I'm enjoying it. But what I would say is keep focused. Don't always use your heart, use your head. If you don't know, you ask. All right, so I think I'm done here. I'm gonna pass on to, I think, Chris.
Thank you, Christian. Can you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. So since we are talking about average student, good student here and there, I just want to emphasize that I was a typical average student. And to be honest with you, I was a second upper student, but I was at the high end of the upper students. So just to give some context there. And also talking about grad school, I'll go to tell you about my career trajectory very soon. But talking about grad school, I had no idea. And this is why I think this program and the people sharing their experiences on this program, we are very grateful. I had no idea about grad school, even when I was a TA. Justice was my roommate, and I saw him studying GRE, and I asked him, what is this? And he started giving me stories about GRE. I said, okay, I'll give it a try. So like, I think Justice mentioned this, and Christian also mentioned this. Pick your associations very carefully, know who you are relating to, ask the right questions, talk to the right people. Now you have internet at your fingertips. Google anything you are looking for, you'll find answers quickly. So just wanted to put the grad school thing in context there. And you've heard a lot of sweet stories about how people manage to move from the graduate program into what they are doing right now. For me, when I first graduated, I was a TA for a year. I think that is 2009 with Justice at the same time. But from there, I went to teach in a high school in Ghana for about 3 years. So I was in some village for about 3 years. I don't know if anybody have heard the name Subi before. It's in some forest in Eastern region. So just to put it in context, it was not a straight span all the way from school to graduate school to what I'm doing currently. And after that, and when I say graduate studies, I'm talking about master. So I'm not a doctor, just to put that one in context. I'll move on to come and do my master's in economics. And after that, I got a chance to do a job in accounting. Of course, we'll be talking about career experiences very soon, but I realized that accounting was not what I want to do. So after that, I went on to do a second and a third master's in information system. And after that, I went to do my first professional career in PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. I worked as a robot process automation engineer, and I also worked as an IT system auditor. And I'll be telling a little bit of story about how I moved from economics to doing all kind of these things. That's one of the reasons why we are here. And then after about 3 years, I went on to work with a bank in the US, which is called Capital One Cloud Engineering. And after a couple of years, I moved on to Amazon Web Services, where I am currently. Just to put a little bit of context into what I do, for instance, you are looking at this live streaming right now, but it could be a situation that this thing has been recorded and someone is showing you and someone has hacked the whole system at the back end. How do you know about that? That is some type of job that I do, like making sure your systems are running nobody's hacking at the back end, just to put into context, because I did economics at undergrad and my master's level, but I'm doing something in cybersecurity. So just to put it in context, what I do currently has nothing to do about economics, but I would say economics gave me that preparation from the beginning, like gave me the mindset to challenge myself, look at the opportunities outside, think in context of what I want to do. Christian mentioned what he's doing right now, what he's passionate about, why he's doing it. That is the driving force behind me moving from economics into accounting into information systems. So just to give a certain level of context there, that has been my trajectory so far into what I am doing. So I'll hand it over back to Nana Bwachiwa.
Yeah. It's going to be on you, since you give a very interesting career trajectory, one that we are not very used to. Like most of us are just like from undergrad econs graduate program, and then working in a field as maybe an economist or something to do with economics. So we want to know more about how like that transition, was it smooth? Was it like, how was it like switching from economics to something else? And then how are you thriving? And also like, we want to know like, what are the potential beyond economics? Like we want to know what's outside economics. I don't know what's outside economics because I've been in economics. So I think you can help us see for those who want to consider careers outside economics. We want to know more.
Sure. And thank you for the question. So honestly, I had no idea I'll be doing what I'm doing today. And I think someone already echoed that on the call. So initially, and this is going to be mostly the situation for almost everybody in this meeting who is listening and trying to pick an advice. The initial objective is to make money, right? So that has been the initial driving force. What can I do to make money to take care and pay my bills or take care of myself? And of course, the context from where we come from, taking care of your family and all those kind of things. So that was the driving force. And I didn't have the chance to go do postgraduate studies to become a doctor, which becomes one of the easiest way to get a job in economics. So I knew I wasn't going to get a job with my master's degree easily. So one, I started looking into areas that would get me a quick job and to get me a quick pay. And that was moving into accounting. So I first went in to do, I think ACCA is the most common one in Ghana. I went to do ACCA part 1, part 2, trying to get a job. And the first instance is that what happened, I went to work in a firm. Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. So like I was saying, I went ahead to work in a firm as a pricing analyst. And that is a nice way of saying I was an accountant for about 10 months and I didn't enjoy it. So it was then that I was asking myself, okay, is this what I want to do? And then I was making the money to take care of myself. At least I could pay my bills and take care of my mom and my dad and all those kind of things, right? So it is the typical Maslow's theory of needs. Once you accomplish one level, you are looking at the next level, right? So I started asking myself, is this what I want to do? Do I want to go to work at 9 and be doing debit, credit till 5 p.m. and walk out? Is that what is going to make my life happy? So I realized that is not going to be the case. So I decided to go do another master's in information system. And that is one thing I also want to highlight here. You always have that opportunity to switch and take on any other area. And I would say one thing that has made that possible for me is my background in economics. It is once you pass through the economics fire hose, I'll call it a fire hose. Once you pass through the economics fire hose, like you have that mental muscle, that mental ability to take on most of the areas in academia. So like it was easy for me to go into information system. Of course, I have passion for computers from day one, but that was something that I wanted to do. So it was easy for me to switch into those areas. And the other thing I want to stress here, I know Christian that could talk about this, be sure and careful of the schools you are choosing. Because one thing that also happened was that sorry, there's a little bit of feedback from, I think, Desmond. one thing I want to stress is be careful of the schools you are choosing, because I wanted to work with PricewaterhouseCoopers when I first finished my master's in economics. And I went to, and we are talking about US, we're talking about Ghana. Like, I went to do my master's in a university called Akron. It was an easy school to get in, but it was a difficult place to get a job after school. And I went to do my master's in Virginia Tech. The irony is that I got a job in my first semester before I graduated. So like the program is a one and a half year program. I got a job 3 months whilst I was in school. So the job was waiting. So be careful of the schools that you're choosing. The quality of the school, not just in Ghana, outside here also affects what you end up doing. So that being said, I moved on to PricewaterhouseCoopers to go and work. I was working as robotic process automation. And what that means is like, I was writing softwares to do things that humans can do. And that was something I really started enjoying. But of course, you enjoy the work, but you also think about the money. And I'm not going to lie to you, you need the money to survive, right? So the money was there, but I got another job that said, hey, we can pay you 1.5 of whatever you are making here, right? And it depends on your skills. It depends on what you are willing to learn. It depends on what you're willing to challenge yourself to do as well. And that is one other factor that is very important. Like, always look at challenging yourself. Look at what is going to be the next level of things. Like, do your research. When you are doing your research, look at what is going to be the next thing of the future, right? So as of, I'm talking about 2016, 2015, robotic process automation was the thing of the future. Everybody was talking about like AI engineering and all those kind of things. So I took it upon myself, and I love like programming. So I took it upon myself to study, get to know what that is. And it was easy to find a job in the next company. And it, like, finding a job with the right skills is very easy. Getting the skills is something that you have to work on every day. In my field of work, you constantly have to be updating your skills. Like, you have to be learning. You don't stop learning right after school. Like, every day you have to be learning what is going to be the next thing. And I move on to AWS, where I'm a cybersecurity engineer, or let's say cloud engineer. It is very critical because you have to know what is going to be the next person trying to attack our system. Like, let's say, for instance, someone trying to hack into Akosombo Dam electronic system to take down the whole ECG of Ghana, right? How are you going to prepare for that? Like, you constantly need to be studying what is going on, thinking like the attacker and all those kind of things to like get a better understanding of what is going to be the threat of the future. So what I'm literally trying to say, you constantly have to be learning. And that is one of the challenges of my area. You don't finish learning. It is always happening. So I would say, to sum it up, I would say my career journey has not been the typical one of economics graduate, go to do statistics, go to get some economics related job. But what has made it so far easier for me is my daily interest in learning something new and what will make me like happy on daily basis, right? I could do something, make the best of money, but at the end of the day, I want to be happy. And that is what is driving my next move. So I'm going to sum it there. I know we have a QA at the end. So I'll hand it over to Justice.
So FYI, as you know, I have not done anything apart from economics. I mean, not even sociology. So, but I think based on my experience and my associations, I think I still got some words of wisdom that I've learned over the years in terms of what opportunities exist out there. I mean, outside economics. But just to pick a few words from what Chris said, right? So first of all, and I like that Chris is here. Chris is an epitome of someone where growing up, you know, you have an interest in a particular skill, but you find yourself in, say, economics, right? But it's possible to navigate your way around to get to that goal. So Chris and I were roommates, and those days we used to have all these big, computers that had the monitors. Those days we used to call them etikopor, right? The very huge monitors that probably might take 2 people to carry. And as you know, we all used at our time. No student bought a new computer. It was all the secondhand computers, right? And you get viruses and etc. Chris was the one who strangely had the ability to fix our computers for us, right? Aside his night and day job as an AGCM driver. So clearly he had the skills and an interest in technology, but he was doing economics at the time and driving students from church to their hostels at night. But somehow, he navigated his way to finally get to the tech environment that, me knowing him way back, I knew that this guy had an interest in technology, right? So that is also an example. And he kept mentioning that economics gives you the opportunity to be able to do that. And also, but I must say that it's also a function of the economy. The US is one of the best countries in terms of allowing people the opportunity to switch, right? Regardless of what your background is, it allows, the system is a bit open that you can always switch. The second reaction I want to give to his point on the type of school, to be honest, it's really important. The type of school you end up in the US determines your job prospect, right? So there's sort of a job market premium even in the fees that the schools charge. But at the same time, if you're in Ghana, you want to be a bit strategic, right? Now, I told you, Chris was my roommate, we all wrote GRE, but I didn't get a chance to get to the US directly. Now, upon hindsight, I know why, I kind of know why. Because what I was doing was that I was being picky in Ghana at the time. I was choosing the so-called creme de la creme schools, right? And I was mainly applying into pure econ programs. I remember someone telling me to look into the applied econ department. So in the US, they have this applied econ department and then the main econ department. So the applied econ department tend to focus on the applied fields like agriculture, environment, development, etc. Whilst the main econ department and even public policy, like sometimes, main econ department tend to focus on the traditional macro, and the main econ department tend to be very competitive. So you face a lot of competition from students in India and China, right? Who are very good in the math and they get almost perfect score in GRE. So I guess the point I'm trying to raise is that sometimes getting into the system, it's probably the first order condition, right? Since you're all economics. And if you are in the system, you can then navigate your way around to get to the big schools or, the top schools that will help you, land a good job thereafter. Not that the smaller schools you don't end up with a good job, but if you are checking the schools, all the programs have what they call in the US the placement rate or the placement record. That tells you what is the percent of their students get a job within the first 2 years after school. Some schools are in the 90s, others they don't even report it, right? Who will report if it's 0? So these are things that you want to take a look at. Now, coming back to the substantive issue, what opportunities exist out there outside economics? And for me, my first go-to now is data science. Data science and analytics, right? Now, we are having this webinar because technology allows us to do so. We are all on the internet. Every activity we do on the internet, we leave a digital footprint. That is data. The new gold in this era is not a gold that we dig through Galamsey. The new gold is data. With data, corporations are making millions of money. With data, there's a lot of innovation. But we generate a lot of data, it's very difficult to make inference out of it, right? And that's where data analytics comes in. So now the world of big data, how do you make sense of big data, right? And all it takes to be able to get into this is having a good background on statistics and also programming, right? And economics are like, I'm saying economics, by the time you finish your bachelor programs or your master's program in economics, you have some appreciable knowledge in statistics and econometrics, right? And you may even have a little bit of background in programming, because today, we use data, we use R in some of the programs that we do in econometrics. And I believe these are programs that you are learning in school. So these allow you or gives you the foundation for you to move either to pursue a course in data analytics and data science. And then I must say it's one of the high end, the high demand like courses or programs in the US at the moment, because graduates are well sought after. All the big corporations are looking for data analysts and data science to be able to help them, because they use this data to do their marketing. They use this data to be able to know what sort of product they should be able to sell out there. Now, related to that, there's also a field of health informatics, right? Now, insurance companies, of course, insurance companies they don't always want to pay out everything, right? So sometimes and I remember you need to do things of, adverse selection and moral hazard and etc. That's big in the insurance world. They use data to be able to predict what type of segments of the population are actually making a huge demand on their claims, right? What type of individual, if they are selling a life insurance to someone, what type of characteristics are people who are likely to die early and probably come and claim their money? It's sad, but that's the reality. So health informatics is also another area that, as an economist, you can actually branch into. But the whole world of, big data, data analytics, etc., are new areas, emerging areas that your degree in economics will help you to branch into. How do you get there? I think if you're an undergrad, it's the best time to learn many things, right? Because you are young, you don't have too much responsibilities, probably except your girlfriends and your boyfriends who might be demanding a bit of your time. But I still think that if you're an undergrad student, you have a lot of time. Learn programming, learn how to code in R, learn how to code in Python, etc. These are the skills that you can leverage to branch into those areas. And sometimes you don't necessarily need a degree in these fields to be able to land a job in them. It's all about your skills that you can, deliver. One fun fact before I hang up. On all my jobs, I have never been asked to produce my certificate. I have never been asked to show my certificate. Oh, you say you have a degree in this, bring your certificate. I have never been asked to show my transcript. But your ability to get a job depends on your ability to demonstrate that you indeed have a degree in this, which is your ability to apply the knowledge that you have acquired over the years. Thanks. I believe I hand over to Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Justice and Christian. Look, they've taken all the words out of my mouth. Basically, right? Use your head, all right? Don't always follow the heart. Yes, it's good to follow the heart, but what you also want is try to get the skill that will require you to make or get the most out of it, all right? Now, you say about economics, I remember this is back in the day, right? Most of us didn't even know the different areas in economics beyond banking, monetary, we just didn't. But now there's so many areas in economics, and Justice is touched on most of them. So it's not just about wanting to go and do MSc economics, MA economics. There are different areas within economics themselves that you want to be able to look at. Sometimes going for a more specialized area is better than going for the generalized one, because the problem is that if you go for the specialized areas, it's just like specific and general training. All right. Sometimes the specific is good because then obviously there's very few demand for it. And that obviously means that you're probably going to end up getting paid a bit more. But basically what I'm trying to say to you is that there are different areas. There's forensic economics, there's behavioral economics. There's so many of them out there. There's health economics, agricultural economics that you can look at. Do not be fixated on just going into just the conventional, the traditional economics, where when you finish, now you are stuck. The employer wants to know, what is this person good at? All right. It's not what has this person done, it's what are you good at? And that is what Chris has said. And that is exactly what Justice has also said. Similar to Justice, they haven't asked me for my certificate. In my last job, they didn't ask for my certificate. They just look at what you're capable of. They look at what you've done in the past. All right. And that is what they judge you on. Obviously, they see it on there that you say you've got this, you've got that, but that is not the determining factor. As long as you meet all those requirements, they don't need to see all those things out there, right? So basically what we are just trying to say to you is that try to get the skills that you actually need for the future. And Chris has said exactly that. What Chris is doing now is what we need now. And big data. In economics now, we have big data. And all organizations are jumping on big data, because that is what determines so many things. That determines sales, that determines consumer purchase, that determines literally everything. Hospitals, banks, everybody is using big data for targeting. And you cannot go wrong with that. We are not pushing you towards a technologically driven career. But what we are just saying to you is that you need to keep your options open. You need to learn and understand what is required or what kind of skills employers require. What I would say is, during my time, internships or work experience was not something big. But now, as I know, because I do a bit of research on that area, it's something big. If you can't capitalize on that, don't go and do an internship where they ask you to do photocopies. Don't do it. I'm not giving you bad advice here, but that is not a skill you need for the workplace. I remember very well back in the day, I went to look for a job, from somebody I know. This is who you know. And that person said to me, go to the bank and be those guys who distribute monies to the cashier and stuff. And I said to them, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. This lady called up my parents and said, your son is disrespectful. I offered him a job. He said no. And I said, my mom even said to me, it's a good idea he didn't do it. Would they give that job to their children? I'm not saying not be humble. But then for me, I did think that was not going to add anything to what I wanted. Obviously, there's the interpersonal skills, there's the social skills that you learn. But I wanted a skill that I'll be able to demonstrate. I don't want to go out there to my next employer and say that I was in the bank distributing money. Okay, yeah, that is sales, but really it's not sales. So what I'm just basically saying to you is that you need to know the kind of skills that is required, okay, and try to capitalize on those ones. Do not go and do a program or do not think of a career where the average person is doing. In economics, we don't have to tell you. You need to be selfish. You need to be rational. You need to make the decisions you need to seek your selfish interest first. Don't do what others are doing. Do not think, okay, no, Chris has had a very good career, so I'm going to follow Chris's, trajectory. Everybody has a different trajectory. What is most important, at this stage of your lives, in your studies and everything, is trying to make sure that you get as much information as possible. Okay, that will then allow you to succeed in the labor market. What is happening now is there's a lot of skill mismatch. Okay, we end up doing degree programs or we study programs where there's very little demand for, and then we go out there, we struggle to find jobs. We end up in jobs that we are either overqualified or we are underqualified. So it is really important to, try and think of what is going to maximize your satisfaction. All right. What is it that, the employer, what is it that I can also offer to the employer? And I think once you do that, you should be fine. And I'll go back to what I said. It's not simply about just doing economics. Economics, as Justice has said, can be the starting point. You are obviously doing that now. You're in your final year. There's no turning back. You might as well just finish it off. And then obviously this is now the time to start thinking. If you want to go to grad school, if you want to just continue in the world of work, this is the time for you to start thinking, what kind of skills am I, going to try to, bargain for me to be employable? Because at the moment, the situation in Ghana, okay, you need, obviously, I know how the labor market works in Ghana and everything, but, what my grandmother used to tell me is that, if it's in your head, nobody can take it from you, okay? So as long as you get what is required, you should be able to work on that to get to where you want to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be in economics. You can go into different areas. I remember I had passion for marketing. I could sell you anything. If you gave me a bar of soap, I could sell it to you as something completely different. And I was good at it, and I did, I did CIM. I was blowing the courses. Some people were struggling. This is back when I was still doing economics. It was just on my fingertips. And I believe that now if I lose my job, I can go easily into marketing. No, I'm not saying that marketing is not a very good career, but then sometimes these things come naturally to you. And I was good at it. And my CIM, I was passing it. Every exam I did, I was doing well. It got to a point I was even having to teach some people who did marketing degrees marketing itself. But obviously, I didn't think it was what I needed or it was what I wanted. So sometimes it's not always what you think you are particularly great at. It's also what you think, there is high demand for. At the end of the day, you work, one, for the money, two, for happiness. It's not a charity. You don't want to be a charity. You don't want to work for free. You might as well not go to school and just go and work, in a charity shop or just get some high-vis jacket and direct traffic. Okay. But then at the end of the day, what you want is you need the money, and then you need to be happy. They can pay you thousands, hundred, whatever it is. If you're not happy, what is the point? Okay. So do what makes you happy, but at the end of the day, also use your head. All right. So that is what I would say.
I just want to take the opportunity to echo some of the things. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Christian, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to take the opportunity to highlight like some of the things these folks are saying. Just as mentioned, this data is gold now. And just to put some context into this, like about 200 years ago, we had the agricultural revolution. And that was because we started manufacturing machines that can like do hundreds of acres of land without needing human beings to like do the farm. And then about like 30 years ago, or let's say about 50 years ago, we had the industrial revolution because we started having computers which can do things quicker and quicker. The next stage is the data revolution. So data is gold. And just as mentioned this, I just wanted to echo that one. So when you are looking at career prospects, look into areas that are going to be using data. Now, I also wanted to let you know about this. Like, I know not everybody will be able to go to grad school. Just take it from me. Not everybody in this room today will go to grad school. So you'll be looking at other opportunities. And you don't have to be in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, or wherever to do a job. In today's world, I know people who are in Ghana making about $70,000 a year doing IT job for companies outside Ghana, doing other kinds of statistics job for companies outside Ghana. So when you are thinking in terms of your future career, please don't look at just what you can do after graduate school. There are opportunities there. You just have to do the search. People, like yesterday, I was talking to Justice about machine learning. We're thinking about, okay, how can we introduce the idea of machine learning in the classroom? That is one area that a lot of folks are using today to analyze data. And that is going to be one prospect into the future. When you have a skill in machine learning, you don't actually need to be in the US to do a job. Today, everything is happening remotely. Everything is happening in the cloud. So you just need access to the cloud, the company's cloud, to do all this job, right? So not everybody will go to grad school. Not everybody will make it to PhD. Look at the opportunities next to your nose. Like, you can work today anywhere in the world and make a lot of money. I know money matters. I'm not going to lie to you. The money matters, right? So just to put that in perspective, you can make, and you are an economist, you can do the math. People are starting jobs today remotely making about $70,000, $80,000 a year. And that, I think, should be a good start for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. That was very informative. And before we go on to ask questions, I would like the panelists to give us like 1 or 2 words, just in a few seconds, like what, from your experience, what skill or attitude do you think helped you the most to get where you are? Like, we've heard a lot, but we just want like a summary, like what kind of skill, or I should say attitude, helped you the most to get where you are now. For me, I would say consistency, like being consistent. That for me has been helpful. So yeah, I would like to hear more from you. Yeah, Chris, you're already on mute. Oh, well,
Okay.
Justice wanted to something. Okay, Chris.
Okay. Passion to learn.
For me, I would say 3. Determination, perseverance, because sometimes you might be determined to go to where Chris Darko is, but it doesn't come easy. You need to persevere, right? To be able to make sure that when you fall down, you rise up and go on. So determination, perseverance. And then the third thing, which these days I'm realizing is very important. You might be the most talented guy, talented person, well sought after, but people skills. What do I mean by people skills? Nobody wants to employ somebody who causes trouble in the organization. Nobody wants to be, to be in an organization with someone who just gossip around and just cause confusion. They want somebody who is a better human, which means having proper social skills. So I would say determination, perseverance, and being human. And as you rise up, you realize that sometimes the jobs you get, it depends on your network and how one recommendation people, can say, what people say behind your back really matters. I'll stop here. Chris.
You see, it's no wonder Justice is into consultancy. He can sell you anything. You know, Nana said 1 or 2 words. He's done what 2 or 3 paragraphs already. But what I would say is determination and humility. All right. That is what I would say. I wouldn't want to, be like Justice. You know what those 2 words are. Work on it.
And Nana, thanks for chipping that point in. I'm not Justice, so I can be in consulting, and I'm not Chris, so I can be very convincing. But Justice mentioned connections. All my jobs that I've gotten after my first job were through people I know, and they were people I work with. So they knew how I work. So they call me, hey, do you want to come and work at Capital One? You want to come and work at Amazon? And that was connection, right? So already you have this connection with us. Please take advantage, use it, because that is what you have.
Just while you say connection, Chris, let me just say this one. Now, the connection Chris has said is professional connections, right? this is professional connections. This is not, somebody who is recommending you who doesn't know anything about your background, but is saying that you are the most, talented or most hardworking person, and you get a job and disgrace yourself. Good name is better than riches, all right? So always make sure that, you sell yourself the right way, okay? Because in there's nobody who's going to take it for you. So make sure, your skills takes you where you want to be so that people can, vouch for you or people can recommend you.
Thanks, Christian, for putting that in perspective. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. At this point, I would like to hand over to Dr. Atta. Sorry. To take care and to handle the questions and answers Q&A session. Thank you.
Thanks, Nana. But I think let me ask Prof. Abiyi or Prince if they are there to handle it from that angle. I'll just monitor those online if there's anybody who wants to ask from online or if I see any message online. So, Prof, if you're available, can you take it from that angle?
Okay, sure. We before the Q&A, we wanted to quickly give a minute or 2 to the ACCA group that gave some sponsorship sort of to the student association. So if they're online, can we unmute them and give them about a minute or 2 to quickly chip in something? Because we have already talked about ACCA. Eric, do you know they are online? They have joined the feed.
Can
they
no.
give you a chat so that we know them whilst we proceed with the question and answer? They will come back. All right. So if you do have a question here, we'll allow you to ask your question. Disconnect. So you have to speak up, and those online too. Eric, if they can type their question in the chat box in particular, or if we can read it even from the chat box, then we can have the answers. Yes. Okay, so we have Emmanuel Kudon. And Chris, you have the thing to answer, I'm sure Chris did. So you are studying economics at the undergraduate level without no prior knowledge in coding and software development. If I am right, how did you manage your IT program at the graduate level?
Thank you. So I had no coding background till 2012, 2013. So I came to the US. So I had no coding background at all. I had a lot of interest in computers. I could do one or two things, but to say how I managed to get comfortable with coding is one, it will sound as cliche as it should sound. I Google. Like if I want to learn how to do Python programming, I'm going to go to YouTube, watch the videos about Python programming. These are things you cannot learn in the classroom. Like if you want to build like a robot that is going to query the whole world wide web to know what someone is saying, that is not something that professor would do. You have to put in the effort, and Chris Darko said this, use your head. You have to look for things that you are looking to do. So I went into Google, I went into, I don't know if you're familiar with this, Stack Overflow, where people ask technical questions, and it's also Google. I use GitHub to see what people post about. So I see if I want to write a someone has already, I am not reinventing the wheel. It is not something new that I am creating. Someone has done something that I'm looking to do. So I go out there, search for it, and learn how to do it. Now sometimes you get frustrated, and I'm going to be honest with you. I have been awake for like 72 hours before trying to figure out how a code works. And I am not joking, that is for real. You will get your head running, and even as of today, if I want to write something new, sometimes I can spend 24 hours trying to figure out how a code should work. And it is all about you and something that's being determined about doing something. You need determined to learn this because it is not a comfortable area. I was born with programming in their head. You need the research, you need to think about it, you need to look out for information. Information is building. And to sum it up, you have to look out, you have to study, and you have to teach yourself. And it is. Because there's nobody who is going to spoon feed you. You may go for classes, extra, you have to learn it on yourself. I hope that helps answer the question.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Any other question? Participants here in the room? Yeah, question? Please do, if you have. You're pressing it. Any questions? Don't just sit down, ladies and gentlemen, and keep your questions to yourself. Yes, good. Raise up your hand.
So I may say something. Unfortunately, we can't hear the person
Oh, okay.
speaking. So yeah.
We'll do it.
So maybe our team, you may have to read a question. So that
Just try. Yeah. We're getting a microphone around. Anybody else that want to ask a question? If you can't speak out, then you can write it and we'll read it out for you, okay?
Yeah, so I want to ask, whatever taking student leadership role and preparing president for the country, or even as they have you also play part to give to outside and the country. It's totally important that you make it.
Okay, so is extracurricular activities important apart from making the grade through exams? That's basically the question. It goes for any of you, please. That is any of you.
I can take
So
a
can you repeat the question because we didn't hear?
Okay, he's saying that to get admission to a grad school, is it only your grades from school, or does extracurricular activities play a role, such as taking student leadership roles, short sports and the rest? Anyway, they don't do much sports these days. Unlike
Okay.
that time, we used to have halls and everything. You people, you are not used to. Yeah,
So maybe I can say something quick on that, and Chris had some. That's
yeah. We're taking it.
okay. So there was an echo in the background, but I think it's fine. So if I understood the question was to get admission into grad school, is it just your grades or some of your other leadership skills matter, right? Okay. So basically, foremost, your grades are very important. You might be a pastor, but if your grades are not good, no one will put you, into a graduate program, right? But aside your grades, some of the schools also look at, so you always write, most of the schools ask you to write a personal statement, right? And it's particularly common, and I think in the UK and then the US schools, where basically the personal statement, they want to see how you think, right? What's activities that you may have done. But this is particularly important. Your leadership skills and extra matters. It depends on the type of program you are going into. I would say if you are going into a peer econ program, they really don't care too much about your extracurricular activities. It's about your math and then your econ and how your ability to analyze issues. But for a lot of the business programs like MBAs and also public policy and other development programs, they want to see, for instance, what has been your experience with volunteering, right? How do you think outside in terms of development issues? And so, that would be, the short answer that I'll have. But I think we have a professor in admission, so he might be doing admissions lately, so he can answer more.
Yeah, thanks, Justice. So I'm good that far, but well, your grades, that is the first tick box. Okay, you cannot bypass that one. You don't expect that you get admitted into a very good university with poor grades but excellent, interpersonal skills. You need to demonstrate all of them. And the thing that most people tend to overlook is how it's not just about saying, oh, I was president of the Economic Society or social or this. You need to say how in that role, what you are doing and how the program you want to study, or show some linkages between that role and the program and what it's going to do for you in the future. So in short, it's not just, your grades is important, and don't rely so much on the type of leadership or experience that you've had. You need the experiences to justify why you want to be on that particular program. And then also how, being on that program will allow you to fulfill what you want to achieve in future. But fundamental is your marketing is important, but it has to be very honest. Okay, don't just go and tell, because sometimes we see some of these personal statements and you can easily tell that this is not a person, because you just throw stuff out. When you look at, their CV and what they've written, there's no correlation whatsoever. Whatever you put on your CV, you need to expand on it. If you say, you go into personal skills, nobody cares about you just stating it. You need to give examples, you need to give linkages. So it's important to have those kind of extracurricular activities, but for instance, you also, the extracurricular activities, sports, for instance, I know that in the US, they have a lot of sports scholarships and stuff. I think that is more common for undergraduate level. Master level, not so much. Okay, but I'm not talking in capacity as an expert in recruitment or a recruitment advisor. This is just, what I think when we get application from students wanting to do, PhDs and stuff, we look at your grade. Obviously, that will determine your academic ability. And then we look at what Justice was saying. You need to be relatable, and we need you to demonstrate that we can actually work with you. Nobody wants somebody who's going to be a pain.
Thanks a lot. I think the next question was just in relation to that. The question was asking if the CV counts, especially in the US, when you're applying for grad school, does your CV count?
Yeah, I mean, I would say your CV counts, even in the UK before now you come in. And apologies, I have to shoot off very soon. But yes, your CV counts. They look at all these things because they don't know you in person. Your CV is basically telling somebody what you've got, what you know, what you do, without having to see your face, so you need to make sure that you give as much detail as possible on your CV. I know that some CVs, some schools, they tell you 2 or 3 pages, whatever. So you only have to put things that are clearly related to what you want to go and do. Don't just chuck stuff in, thinking that quantity is what matters. It's what you put on there that will get you the job. Even if they ask for 1 page, make sure you put in the very relevant things that, when you have 1,000 of them and the job is for only 1 person, yours is what is going to stand out.
Yeah, thank you very much. The next question coming from Christian Texan says, speaking about data analytics, what branch of economics goes into that, and what should guide you in choosing a particular field or branch in economics that is related to data analytics? I'm sure class that's it.
Chris, you want to take that or I can take that?
Yeah, Justice, you can take that. And then I can answer it. Yeah.
So, I mean, to be honest, with data analytics, there's no branch in economics that relates directly to it. Data analytics is essentially statistics, right? But I mean, statistics with computing, and the computing is basically the coding that will help you handle such big data. I personally think anybody can do data analytics as long as you have an interest in coding and you have sufficient understanding of statistics, right? I think these are the main requirements, but no one will look at your background, whether you did monetary or no. It's anybody can do it as long as you will demonstrate that you have an interest and ability to code and you have sufficient understanding of statistics. Chris.
Yeah, and that is what I've seen so far. Like, you need that good knowledge of statistics. And I think your econometrics is covering that already. Once you get to the things that you have to learn about statistics that you never be taught in the classroom, but once you have that statistics background, I think you're in a good place to go.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Next question from Mark says, please, I heard some students with good grades sometimes find it difficult to cope with studying abroad. Please, how true is this? Yeah, maybe Nana.
I never had a good grade, so maybe I'll push that to Justice and Christian and Nana.
Yeah, I'll get to that. But before I even get to that, the previous question, I had something to say about it. So with data analytics, I think now, I don't know about the pure economics programs, but with applied economics program, I'll graduate calling myself a health economist and an environmental economist. And throughout my program, I've been working with data, and I feel like it's now part of economics, and you can't finish a graduate degree in economics without doing the work. So I think that's very important now. So now I can pass as a data analyst just by doing economics. So I think that's very important. So if there's a chance for you now to do anything with computers and economics in your undergrad, please take the opportunity to do it because it will help you. That's what I wanted to say with regards to the previous question. But with this question, it's not about good grades. you can be smart, but if you don't want to put in the work, you're not going to do well. So graduate school is very demanding. I think I said it in the introduction statement I made. It's very demanding. You have to be consistent. You have to put yourself to it. You have to be committed to the program. So if you know you are not ready to commit to it, it's not. And undergrad is hard, but it's the hardness of grad school is different. It's on a different level. It's like they are demanding a lot from you. So if you are not willing to give yourself to it, please, it's not for you. It's not about good grades or anything. It's about you wanting to give much to the program. Give yourself to the program to do well. Thank you.
Okay, so good students struggling outside. My response is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I was in tech. I mean, those days, we had the slogan "Nyansapo," and and then social studies, so yeah, there and all that. I mean, you could get someone who had, first class CWA in the 90s, but these are people who can just chew, pour, and pass. These are the people who struggle in grad school, because it's not just about your ability to chew everything and then pour. I remember there were some of my mates where we had one course where the lecturer, basically the exam was more or less like letters and structure, right? So in the notes, and they even meet them on the street, they can narrate everything in the book, right, from page A to Z without even missing a comma. That is not what you need to survive in grad school. In undergrad, you can do it and then get higher CWA, but in grad school, you will struggle. So I think maybe, the people that you may have heard that they struggle in grad school, even though they were good in undergrad, were people who were just interested in getting their grades without necessarily getting the understanding, right? There's a key saying that I've heard over our year, but to bind over pay. So, just make sure that in as much as you are getting a good grades, you are understanding what you are learning. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. A few other questions. Here says that with regard to data analytics, if one already has taken a short course and has a certificate, what next steps will you recommend for such students? What other platforms can aid such students outside YouTube?
Okay, so I can start with this. Let's be very clear about something. Nobody give a rat ass about your certificate. Like, you see people taking certification courses and here and there. It may end up getting you through the door, but within a month or two, you could get fired because you can't do the job. So getting certificates is good, but the most important thing you should focus on is what are you learning to get that certificate? A lot of people here just said they got their job without showing their degree, certificate, and those things. So like, that is not the most important thing. It's the skills you are like getting from this certificate course. So like, if you're taking a certificate course in data analytics, if I give you a data today and I ask you to do some analysis on it, can you do it? Or it's just the certificate that you have, right? So just to put some context on that, the certificate is good on paper, but the skills you are learning from getting that certificate is the most important thing. Aside what will aid you on YouTube, YouTube was just one example. Google. Like anything you're looking for right now, Google it. If you want to know how to do genome sequencing, that is doing DNA analysis, you don't need to have a background in DNA analysis. Just Google how to do DNA analysis. If you want to know how to build robots right now, you don't need a background in computer science engineering. Just go Google how to build robots, right? So YouTube was just one example, but Chris Darko mentioned this. Search for what you're looking for. Just do the search. Do the search. This is one skill you are going to need on your day-to-day job. You need to find solutions to things. It is not going to be black and white. You have to find a way to find a solution. And that is the way you start this, by Googling and searching for it, right? So that is why I use YouTube as an example.
Yeah. And if I may add something quickly, I think there are a lot of free online platforms out there that allows students to learn almost anything, including data analytics. And one of such platforms is Coursera. And I just dropped a link in the chat. It's sort of an open online university where they mount a lot of courses. Some of the programs are free, others are paid. But I think with that, you can learn a lot of things even whilst you're on campus. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Two more questions here. With regard to getting a job, how are grades relevant to experience? And then let me tie this in. What are my chances of getting a full scholarship in the US to pursue data science? Perhaps you also add the UK as well. Any of you can take the go.
I mean, what I want to emphasize here is we are not here to give you scholarships, okay? There are platforms there, all right? You know, if you want to go to the US, Nana has already said, you know, the GRE score and all those things, sometimes they help with getting scholarship. I don't know so much about it, but that is what I've heard, all right? In the UK as well, I did mention there's so many, you know, funders out there, big and small, and the universities themselves. I know that the Commonwealth one, there's a Chevening, there's you know, MasterCard. I think that's more for Canada and the US, I think, but there's a whole lot out there in terms of scholarship. We cannot prescribe for you. It's not very prescriptive. You know, there's a whole lot out there. And the other thing is that some of the universities themselves, they have some sort of bursaries. Okay, you might not always be getting 100% scholarship. Sometimes they can give you tuition fees or a waiver or something. Every little helps. But if you want the full scholarship stuff, of course, your grades do matter a lot, because when they are doing these scholarship allocations, it's a large pool that they have to choose from. And at that point in time, they're basing most of it on, one, your grades, you know, what you put in your personal statement, and the type of degree program you are going to do, because they want to see that that degree program you're going to do is something that is going to have some sort of externality or some sort of benefit. Okay, so you need to look out for, because some of these funders are specific on some type of areas that they want students to look out for, you know. But, you know, the grades always matter for some of these things. And I also see that Yunan has put something there that, you know, most of the Ghana studies tend to be more of theories and how do you apply, you know, dy, dx, blah, 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 because in abroad it's mostly based on practical. Look, you cannot run away from theory, all right? The theory is essential. You know, data analytics that Chris is saying about, you didn't just rock and start practicing it. You need to understand the theories behind it. So do not underestimate the importance of theory, because that is the building block. That is the foundation, basically. The practical element, yes, it's important. And obviously that has to do with the type of education system. You know, it might be that the education system in Ghana, I know it is changing now, where it is becoming more dualized and encouraging students to have some sort of work experience so that they're able to apply what they teach. And that is the example I was giving, that you asked me to go and, you know, distribute money or tie money. I didn't think it was relevant for me, but of course you can go on to do, you know, internship in different organizations where you apply or you gain certain skills. All right. So practically, yes, sometimes what they do in abroad here, they have some sort of year in industry kind of degree where a whole year you go and work in the industry and then you come back and you come and continue, or you have, you know, employers defining or helping us to define our curriculum. So now in some universities, we actually have, for instance, Crystal, our PwC in Birmingham, we have these big accountancy firms who tell us, okay, these are the kind of skills that we actually need from your students. So can you devise a course that allows them to learn this particular type of skill? And then we teach in that sense, you know, but of course, we're still going to give you the theory, but then this is what the employer needs. So then they come back to us and say that. But the bottom line, what I'm trying to say here to you, Mark, is that do not underestimate the importance of theory. But the practical element of it sometimes is also determined by the nature of the education system. But of course, you can navigate that by gaining some sort of internship or work experience. And practical element of it, you can also gain it yourself. All right. For instance, with data analytics, you can sometimes learn them and apply them yourself. And these are all part of the application process. Okay.
With regards to theory and practicals, one thing Chris said was when you need something, just look it up, right? So if you don't have the theory or you don't have the foundation, I see the theory as a foundation to know whatever you want to do. So if you don't have the foundation, there's no way you'll be able to just and know what to do, because you look it up. If you don't understand what's written on Google, for example, or whatever the person on YouTube is saying, it will be of no use to you. So the theory helps condition your mind to be able to apply whatever things you learn from outside the classroom.
And if I made something quickly on the funding, right? So look, let's be honest, 90% of Ghanaian students who go outside without funding, it's not possible, myself included. Now, but also a new dimension of funding that I myself didn't know until I came to the US. Sometimes, I remember during my time, there were schools that sometimes I got half scholarship, but I didn't even pursue it because even the remaining, even they asked me to pay 5% extra, I didn't have the money. But now, I've come to realize that sometimes all you need, so there are also student loan options, right? There are private companies that offer student loans where even if you're an international student, they can give you the student loan for you to be able to get your I-20 and apply for your visa. But I would recommend that if you are taking a student loan to come to a school in the US, you must look for a program in a school that has high probability of getting a job, right? And one way of knowing that I mentioned is the placement record. So there are schools that, and I know of one, and I can advertise, Virginia Tech is one of them, that 90% of their students get jobs in the first semester because their corporations know the quality of their students. So if you are going to such a school, and even if you are taking a student loan, you know that there's a very high probability that you get a job immediately after school and you'll be able to use it to repay your loan. I know not all the programs in data science offer school funded because it's just like an MBA now, it's in top demand. And so the schools also want to use it to to be able to get revenue. But try the student loan option. You can always get a student loan as an international student to be able to pursue. But know the type of school you are going. You don't want to go take student loan to go to a school where you still struggle to get a job. Thanks.
Yeah, good. So a few more questions about what kind of we recommend for MSc abroad. Should they be using these traveling agents? In fact, we as lecturers here have this starting experience. Right? A blank to be given to this traveling agent. So
we are losing you.
Oh, sorry.
You don't mind repeating what you said?
Yeah. So yeah, the internet on my laptop is a bit unstable. Okay, I think it's better now. So what kind of programs will you advise for our students here? Should they also be applying for these MSc, 1-year MScs abroad, those that are recommended by the traveling agents? So that's what Yao Nimo is asking. And then I think the next question is the difference between statement of purpose and personal statements. I think we can tie these questions so we can be on time, wrap up in time.
I think abroad, maybe Chris Daku can take that. If he still has time, he has to drop off at some point.
Okay, sure. So Chris?
Sorry guys. Sorry, if you can repeat that one again, Nothing. I know there's one about a statement of purpose, and then also what was the other one?
Applying for MSc abroad by yourself or using travel agents.
Yeah, what's a travel agent now?
Yes.
You've got in your fingertips. You can do your own research. All right, you know what you want. Problem is, fine. I know it makes it, but there's no shortcut in life. This is, you need to know what you want. Sometimes, you know, you have to pay a fee for, why pay a fee, you know, to get somebody to do what is free for you? You've got all the information there. What are you running away from? Personally, I don't believe in using all these, you know, travel agent stuff. They do, I mean, what do they do in a sense? But basically what I'm saying is do your own research, right? You know what you want to do. Don't let somebody tell you what you need to do, all right? Do your own research. So as possible, if you can't, unless you've got the means, but personally, I wouldn't, all right? But if it is what is going to help you get to where you want to get to, that is entirely fine. It's a personal decision. But if you want to go and do a research degree, it starts from now. You want to be able to do your own research. I know people who want to travel abroad and they haven't even seen the application form. They just get people to do it for them. You know what? You know, learning process. You want to learn it, and that is why I believe in. I like to do everything by myself anyway. So this might be a biased opinion. And then the second question about the statement of purpose, I mean, sometimes these two are used interchangeably. I don't know whether they are most or not, but the details in there tend to be almost the same. You're just telling them your intent. Why is a degree program, or what you want to go and do? Why is it important? What are you going to gain out of it? So they tend to be kind of similar and used interchangeably. I don't think that the much, you know, I think it's referred to differently by different people, different schools. Yeah. On that note, I would like to say that I have to leave now because I'm already late for an appointment which started 20 minutes ago. So if you can pardon me, but I mean, feel free to get in touch with me again if there's the need to. All right. Thanks, Eric. Thanks.
Thanks, Christian.
Thanks.
You
Thanks.
take care. Bye.
So if I always find information about Christian Darkon by Googling, you have been told Google everything. So Google Christian Darkon, okay? And then find information.
Prof, it looks like whenever you look up, we can't hear you, so you may have to look down.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. All right. So, can you hear me now, Justice? Yeah, Justice, is it better now?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay, sure. I think a few more questions. We have to wrap up. We brought the HOD around to also speak, close the session. So,
Prof. Hello, Prof.
Yes, Eric.
Yes, I think the ACCA rep is also in. If you can give me a few minutes to make a statement.
Okay, sure. All right. So, you will unmute him after these questions are answered. The last questions I'm reading out. Okay. Please, I've heard there is a background requirement in every master's program. I want to know if any of you have faced similar situation before, and if so, how did you go about it? If you don't have the background, I want to branch into forensic, but I heard there is a science background. Okay, requirement. Okay, maybe case was the forensics for economists. That's the last question.
I know I missed the content of the question. Are we asking if we need a forensic background to do
I guess so.
something? Okay.
Yes. Then there's a science background, but an economist do science. These days, I've seen those things bundle around that people should be going to do forensics. So I've seen people doing MSc forensic management and thereabouts for the security services in particular. Okay, let me take it out from the knowledge I have because I was involved in the development of the course. In this university, those who are doing forensic science are people with computer science, computer engineering, mathematics background. With economics, it will be very difficult for such a branch unless you are taking it from the managerial science perspective. But even that, you may want to get a strong background in computing, or yes, in computing, in computer sciences. It's not necessarily a data analysis, even though they have data analysis courses within the program. So I think that your rate of success in such a highly specialized area will be slimmer. But you may probably pass on these courses on Coursera and so forth, and use it as just an additional skill to what you have, probably to give you a chance to move into these security agencies. But as a mainstream course for you to do it at the master's level, I think you have a slimmer chance without having a background in computer science or computer engineering or mathematics. Thank you. So I think on that note, we will give the ACCA rep chance. Ahmed, are you ready?
My apologies, I need to drop. So, but just wanted to say thank you, everyone. It was great talking to you. And please feel free to reach out anytime, and we'll share information after that. So, everybody.
You know Ahmed, eh? Okay. Oh, because the class has been canceled, you are joining. Okay. I'm going to take that period. All right. Okay. So let's make it brief. Eric, have you unmuted him?
I've unmuted him.
Okay. So please, Ahmed, if I have a phone, you have about 2 minutes, please.
Hello, Ahmed.
All right.
Hello.
Now ready. Let's welcome. Okay. Sorry,
Hello,
Anna, you can take on since you are moderating. The next session, we do that, and then the ACCA person can come in when we are done with you.
Hello, Ahmed. Oh.
Okay. So, like I said,
Hello.
you see?
Hello.
We can hear you now.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Right. Great. Thank you very much for inviting us to be on your meet. Having been around for a couple of minutes, we could say that it was a good session, but unfortunately for us, with the volume of information that we needed to pass on, 2 minutes is hopefully inadequate to do that. And so I'm going to be liaising with the leadership front of the students, and then we arrange a better meeting so we can engage you properly. So we're going to be sharing some contacts and links to our website, and also for you to engage us offline. So we're fine.
Okay, that's great. So we will do that so that anytime you are around, we'll give you a desk around for you to share your literature so that your students can, yeah. Okay. Okay, Ricata, thank you for the announcement.
Good. Thank you, Prof.
Yes.
I know they're happy.
Yes. All that starts well will end well. So I will hand over to Nana for the next session, and then the HOD can come in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are just.
I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
So all
Yes.
is done on our side. I think
Yeah,
all is done on our side. So it's over to you.
I will invite the staff president to give us 1 minute closing remark.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It has been very great since I took this leadership into hands, and I also want to thank the moderators of this program. This is a life-changing program that ISA will ever have. and we are so blessed to have it. And last semester, we did a lot of programs, and this semester, we did a lot of programs. And I also want to thank Momi, the HOD of this department, for giving us the opportunity, the facilities, and everything that we need. In fact, I can boldly say that this administration has had a whole lot of lecturers' participation in our meetings, and that is so nice. So I want to thank the webinar organizers and also the facilitators for giving us such a wonderful and a powerful open up. We are so grateful. ISA is proud. Thank you so much.
All right. So all right. So HOD will have the last words.
Actually, it would give me the great honor for you taking over your time to be with us. Oh, okay. We deem it a great honor for you taking all your time to be with us, sharing this important information for students. And actually, at times, when you finish, you don't even know what to do. You have no guidelines and you are found wanting. So I'm sure this kind of discussion will help them. And I'm hoping that this will not be the last time. You will always be ready for us when we have another 10, so that our students will benefit from the rich experience that you have gained across the globe. So on behalf of my colleagues, we want to express our appreciation to Justice, Christian, Chris, and then Nana for taking your time off your busy schedule. You know how people are busy, but the time that we spent with us sharing ideas on how our students can benefit themselves after school, giving them this valuable information. We are indeed grateful, and we look forward to having such discussions in future. Thank you so much. God bless.
Wow. So everything that begins certainly will end somewhere. This great idea was made out of the blue, but I'm sure it's something that my friend Justice and police have also been thinking about. And same also for us, been thinking about here. And we realize that ISA in particular is a very good vehicle to use to reach you. It's, as we said, the foundation of ISA. They have had this in mind and they did it some time back. And today you can call yourself ISA. Okay, so you have to do it. So let's keep this vibrant thing going. It is not only the new ideas have been set. You are passing through the university, but let the university pass through you. Of course, for the positive reason. And do not look at it that your future is far away. The pressure is certainly on for your TAs because they know that after national service, what's next? Those who have scholarships probably they are happy. But as they go, some of you are also following and filling those spaces. So please, the good thing that they have said today, don't let it fall on hard ground so that it doesn't terminate. Rocks, tongues, and so forth. Let it fall on fertile soil to nurture and grow so you can also share. Okay. They have also given us a lot of information about how we can gain skills, skills. This is almost always the things you are being told to do. So please, don't let your exams alone be the focus of the reason why you are here. Pleasant can do that. But within the space, also if you want more information, please do not hesitate. We'll put the contact across. At least you Justice is on Twitter. You can drop in a direct message. And Chris, I'll find Chris background. I actually haven't linked up yet. And then we can be asking questions, receiving directions. There are many other alumni or alumnus who want to talk here, and we'll be bringing them across to you so that you can benefit from the rich experience that we have gained and also the seed that we also have sown in them. Thank you very much. Have a very good day. Thank you.
I think
Start with the prayer. We did actually start with the prayer, but since Reverend is late today, and he has also won the vice leadership election.
Prof, for the prayer, I think some, can you hear me?
Our HOD will be the vice dean of the department.
Can you hear me?
Prof, can you hear us?
And, the blessings of yes. Yeah, the blessings of the day is coming from it. Yes, please.
I think one wants to say something before we drop off.
Yeah,
cool, sure.
I just realized some other alumni joined the program, but we didn't acknowledge them. I don't know if they are still here. I saw Akosia. She's an army officer. We could have asked her to tell.
I invited them and sorry.
Oh.
Akosia and Anita were online actually. I don't know when.
Okay.
Are they? Yeah. Akosia, if you can unmute.
Prof, I'm still here.
Akosia was my TA.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, so the final words from my part. So on behalf of myself, my colleagues, and so we actually had two other colleagues who couldn't make it due to scheduling reasons. One, we say a big thank you to the HOD, the facilitators from Ericata to Prince to from our team. And even the students, who managed to attend. For us, it's always a pleasure to give back to our community. We are all in the environment, and we went through all the things you are going through. And our last word is that learn hard and persevere, and things shall fall well for you. Thank you.
Thank you. So Akosia is here. Yes.
Officer.
All right, so that's she was my team. Yes, I have a minute or two word for us. Yes.
What I will, the little I will add is they should just stay focused, but then they should know that the economics is always a stepping stone. It's always a stepping stone. With economics, wherever area you are being placed, I am not doing economics directly, but indirectly, I'm applying economics wherever I find myself. So the economics is just a stepping stone. When you come out, you realize you did one of the best courses. So they should just study hard, and whatever opportunity that they get to do anything, they should just grab that opportunity and apply themselves, because it's not easy out there. That with economics, when you come out, and I know the economy that we are in, with economics, when you come out, your job is assured. But whatever chance that you get with your first degree, apply, and that gets stepping stone for you. When you get there, or you get the job, whatever job it is in any other field, when you get it, then based on what you learn, you apply yourself and you'll be successful. That's all that I would like to add.
Thank you. All right. So we can sign off with a very good prayer from a good one. It's a very good day. All right. So Reverend, yeah. Thank you. Amen. Thank you. Have a rest of the day. Yeah, Justice. Bye-bye. And Anna, thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So
Yeah.